6 o'clock, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Roll call, Alan,
President, I'd like to make an adjustment to my name. It's A-L-L-E-N, not
oh,
A-N.
I apologize.
No problem.
Man, these people. Andrew,
Here.
Beth is here. Gail,
Here.
Pat,
Here.
and Stacy.
Here.
Okay, any public comment on the agenda? And we'll give you a minute to look at it, Brian.
I'm good.
You're
I
good?
don't need to comment on the agenda, no.
Okay. Any board comments on the agenda?
I have one.
Yes.
I would like to add, I don't know if down on number 16 we can talk about, we're talking about DeVoe Beach, and I just want to add a little bit of a discussion about the wall down there, because I went down there today. And I have some questions and some,
Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
thanks.
So
Anybody?
we're gonna add that to 16 instead of separate on 18?
Yeah. we
Sounds
can
good
just
to
do it
me.
all together.
That would be C, Pat.
Thank you, Alan with the E.
Yes, I have A, B, and, have I been
You're
doing
so
that all
smart,
along,
Ellen.
Ellen?
That's why we need you.
Ellen, have I been doing that all along? Have I been spelling it wrong all along, or just this?
I
What?
haven't noticed it.
Okay.
Oh, your name.
All right, anybody want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I so make the motion.
Gail will second.
I did it again, I did A, E. And second was Gail. Okay, before we do motion to pay the bills, I'd like to discuss some of the items within the bills. Not so much with, and I don't know if this is where it should be. Never mind, we'll just make a motion to pay the bills. Anybody want to make that motion?
Stacy will make a motion to pay the bills.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Alan seconds.
Alan with
But
an
I
E.
want to know why you hesitated.
Um,
It's open for discussion now since it's been
Second.
moved and seconded.
I just, in the email that Pat sent, I'm a little bit, I guess, frazzled, confused, I don't know, where you made mention that we don't have money for a seasonal person,
Correct.
and I think we have a little bit of money, but they can't start as soon as we would like. But, and I think Doug, when do you usually hire your seasonal?
Right about the end of this month, late in the month, as soon as the seniors, well, college kids get out.
So the end of May, so
So
we
the
would
end of
not
the
be able to cover but maybe 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, so you're looking at the end of June
And
instead
then
of the end of May.
you're only looking to hire one, correct?
No,
Oh,
one
you're-
coming back and one new.
Oh, so that, the second one definitely would not be able to start until July, until after we do a budget, so we can budget that in, because we don't, I do believe we do not have the money to pay him. Unless I'm,
I'm sorry, I don't know how this comes under approval of bills.
well, I said never mind, and you said go ahead.
Well, I want to know I wanted to know where you were going, but it has nothing to do with bills,
Okay,
correct?
so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, Beth.
No, that's fine.
Well, then we need to move that to a different spot and discuss it, regardless of whether it was discussed at this minute, second or not.
Is it, I don't see.
Well,
it on the agenda
we
anywhere
can just
else.
put it down,
Yeah.
I can discuss it at working on our budget on
That's fine.
2025,
Yep.
2026.
That'll work.
I'll just put
We'll
it
put it
there.
in there.
Okay, motion to accept the minutes, I have a correction. it says Beth Henderson, mad, a
That's
board.
been made, okay.
Okay, so that should have been made.
You were mad?
I was mad. I'm always mad. I just want to make it legit. So, and that's the only correction I had. Did anybody else see any? Would anybody like to make a motion to accept the minutes?
Gail will.
Alan will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Doug's update on grant from the youth. And then I have some comments in regards to that. Do you have any updates or,
Well, no, because they haven't gotten back to you yet, but.
well, they have, and that's
Oh,
my,
okay. We are applied to the county to see if we could move the remaining 10,000 that we had left over on the Parks grant to cover beach sand at DeVoe Beach, which,
and I spoke with Jeff Lawson, and he said, most likely we could do that. I had to write a letter. If you wanna look at it, if you don't wanna look at it, fine. I think I'll find it.
It's basically a letter explaining that even though we're using the, I'm just gonna talk while you're looking.
Go ahead.
While that extra money is for the youth grant for youth, that could still roll over into the beach because that is what we use for families, communities, children, and all that.
How did I think of that?
you make sure you put in there that we achieved everything
Yeah, I have it
in
all.
our wish list with the grant money.
Including scoreboards?
They weren't on our wish list, we did not get scoreboards, but
To me, the
in my
school,
opinion, Alan, I would think that the school could have bought brand new ones for all of them, what they put into one.
They could have, but they didn't, so
I think I
Right.
looked
we've
at
got
Trudy's
$10,000
office.
that we could use there, which it was originally for, was Corporation Park.
That's true, and I guess we can have a discussion about that, but at the end of the day, we have to prioritize where this money's going. We have to prioritize where our money's going, and that beach needs help. And we don't have the money to do what we've been quoted for that. So either we get a different quote for a better price, we get the community to get together and do a beach day where we're all going down there and working without putting out costs.
We have one bid.
So we have, I know, and it's high. And supposedly, we've never paid to have sand put in there.
Exactly, it's our sand.
I know. So
And
it's,
we have equipment.
we do,
I'm
then
gonna
why are
piss
we,
you off,
We
Doug, I'm
can't move
sorry.
it.
if we have
you wanna do
equipment,
it,
why
hey,
are we paying them
that's
to do
fine.
it?
If I got a 20-inch push mower and I got a 5-acre soccer field, do I take my 20-inch push mower or I take my 6-foot zero-turn ride-on mower to mow that field? I mean, yeah, I can move sand 2 yards at a time, 3 yards at a time, or I can get somebody to come in that's gonna move it efficiently.
I don't know what happened.
Go down there with the proper equipment,
I had it
spread
with
it on the
Trudy.
beach.
And
And
it's gone.
anybody that you wanna buy sand from will tell you, they'll give you the sand, they're gonna charge you to truck it.
Yeah.
That's less than $10 a yard that they're estimating to get it dug out of that pit, driven from there, over there, dumped on the ground and spread out.
We still
It's a
have one
good
bid.
bid. Oh, well, I got other people. I don't have them here. I've called them, I've talked to them, I've got them waiting.
Can I ask some questions about this, or are we talking about this later?
No,
I know it
we're,
came up now.
No,
we're,
no, bring it on.
you can talk.
How many yards are we talking about?
Well, when you take the overall surface of it, divide
Yeah.
it and everything, you roughly come up with about 800 yards. So that's 80 dump truck loads.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And that's put 4-inch coating of sand across that.
And we don't have a dump in the county. And
We
excuse
have
my-
a little 2 2-ton
Some
dump truck
smaller,
that we
okay,
plow
yeah.
snow with,
But
it's not
nothing to
a,
haul 10 yards at a time?
no, we don't have an excavator, we got a bucket on the front of a tractor.
Okay, so I'm just gonna throw out some ideas to help minimize cost. And you're right, you can get sand cheap, and we already have it as cheap as you can get it, it's free, the cost is all gonna be labor, and
Right.
manpower, equipment. Have we approached the Sheboygan County to assist in any way? Not financially, but with hauling the sand.
Well, they're not gonna, they don't have trucks to give away. You gotta get a truck to go there 80 times.
No, so they.
So that's
yeah, so
days
we
of
might have a
taking
truck.
stuff away from them. From there, they don't have that budget.
No, I get
again.
that, I'm asking because I don't
Right,
know.
yeah. Just-
So, as far as, I mean, there's plenty of companies around that'll haul.
Mhm.
Where they're gonna get you is the labor, the spreading, and the skid steers, the loaders, whatever.
That's what the expense is going to be, is the loading, the
Yeah,
hauling, and the spreading.
No, I get that now.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there are plenty of people in this community that have skid steers or tractors. If we could organize, when I say we, you guys.
You got it, you're
But
on.
I'm happy to help, I'm just throwing ideas out there.
No, I get it.
So if we as a community could organize a workday with
Right.
folks that have, because plenty of people will show up and rake and shovel, right? But it's a lot of work. Having a couple larger pieces of equipment, which I think if we planned ahead of time and asked around, I think there are enough people in this community that would say, hey, I'll show up with my skid steer, I'll show up with my tractor. If we had a couple of those folks, we could definitely minimize the cost, because then we're really,
Yeah.
like, I get not, having like one truckload at a time and something like a couple yards, you'd be doing that till start today to the end of summer. We need larger trucks. Yes.
I have a question, Doug. And we've talked about it briefly, but they have been storing their equipment down there for over a year, and have they given?
Elmer's. has
Elmer's,
been.
yeah.
Okay.
Have they given us any compensation for that? Because, I mean, for them to have to haul every day, that's gas, that's a driver, kind of thing.
Correct.
And have we approached them to see, hey, we think that's a little pricey? Any way you can work with us since you stored your stuff all year round down there? I mean, right now I counted 6.
It's packed. I
6
couldn't even get in there
machines
today
down there.
hardly. I couldn't even drive down the road. They had to move. I mean, they're packed. Now, they're paving this week, they told me.
Yes.
But,
Again, I mean, I'll mention it to them, but that's a discussion
And
that
I get
should have been
it,
had
I get it,
before
but,
they started, not
Yeah.
after they were done.
but
You can still, throw it out.
Still
there, say,
ask.
hey,
I
in
would
lieu of
still
us-
like to ask them, hey,
allowing-
can you work with us?
Well, my thought is, they probably brought that up when they were first bidding the sewer contract, that they would be able to store stuff in that parking lot. And that was reflected in the cost of doing the sewer system.
Can I
Are you
see
sure about
that
that?
document?
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure, but
that's
that's
what
one
I'm
thing you have
saying.
to look at.
It's something to look at to get some of the costs down. Cause I mean, it's our sand and,
or how much did he break down the price? I can't remember when I looked at it. How much is it to haul it? And how much is it to spread it? I mean, can we pay him to haul it?
no, he just,
He just
Yeah,
had kind of a
yeah.
lump sum price on there, he did not break out specifically.
Okay, so how
each
much is it if he
task.
hauled it and we spread it? And we could get people to come with because there have got to be people with
Oh,
spreaders. around.
there are. There's a ton of people in this community that have the equipment, if they're willing to pitch in. And I think, looking at the amount of people that pitched in after the ice storm.
Right.
That tells me there are a lot of people in this community that are willing to help it fast.
That's what I would think too, but.
I would also say if that bid is a lump sum bid, a large part of my job is vetting contractors. And personally, I don't accept any bids that are lump sums, I make them itemize everything. And if one of my branch managers or an area leader tries to hand me like, hey, I want this person to do my parking lot, it's a lump sum bid, I reject it. I said, no, you tell them they have to itemize it, and I want 3 to 5 of them. Usually your highest bid, they're throwing a high bid on purpose, see if you'll pay it. I'm skeptical of super low bids, unless there's a very specific reason why. Then I kind of whittle it down to the 3 in the middle and see what's gonna
So
suit us best.
did you say you talked to someone else, Doug? You said.
Yeah, I'm
and-
waiting for 2 other people to get back to me.
And will you ask them, to separate the costs so that we can see how much is it to actually bring it? Because, at some point, I think we should be able to spread it. I don't know.
I agree.
But because at the end of the day, it's, yes, I walk down there, it definitely needs it. But the other options are, you had said we may have to close part of that beach
Well, I
and move the
suggested
sand
that.
over.
I disagree with that.
Well, then what do
Leave
you,
it the way it
Northern
is.
Michigan Beach, it's not a tropical island resort.
got it, right. So,
Yeah, I mean, if we couldn't do any of it, if anything, it could be regraded pretty cheap.
we should be able to do that.
I mean, up here, it's what you get.
Yeah, well, there are
Well, their
there's
nature
some
has
pretty
it.
big divots in there, yes, we
I've
can
been down
regrade
there.
it, and that's fine. And when I look down there, what is that, why is that ramp there, and then the
For
little ramp
handicap.
with the chair?
For handicap.
That's for
Okay,
handicap.
so my problem is though, is that chair, that bench is not for handicap. Right?
No, you wheel your wheelchair onto the platform, and then the people can still sit with you. Does that make sense?
It does. All I'm saying is that platform that bench is on is unsafe right now. It's hollow underneath it.
Yep.
On the edge, there's nothing underneath it. And granted, that other thing is there, but it's also not in great shape. So I don't know if we need to take the part with the bench out right now, leave the other part there, I guess, and then if we regrade it, we can put some sand around it to make it safer.
Do that.
The entire thing is coming out, gonna be rebuilt right beside the thing, put on blocks the way it's supposed to be and leveled.
No, we need to
And
take
then
it all
the thing-
out, and what they do down in Myrtle Beach, which I've been down there for years and years,
I do like that.
is they have a pad. They have a pad that goes all the way out, and it's for wheelchair access. And it is a big pad that goes out.
Are you talking?
Okay,
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah,
I know if you stand on it,
It rocks.
now the main one doesn't. The main walkway is fairly stable. If we put enough sand under there, we could keep that there. It's up to you guys to figure that out, or whatever we want to do with that. But then you've got to put the sand underneath it, and you've got to make sure it's stable.
Stable. Yep.
But the sides are falling off of it in a certain area, where it was put together. So all I'm saying is definitely we can't change anything this year by any means. But, we just need to make sure it's safe.
And
Or
right,
it's not there.
and
or
right
it's
now,
not
it's
there.
not safe. Right now, it's not safe, and if we take it out, it's gonna be non-compliance with the,
But you don't need the bench part. You don't need the bench and that little thing. You just
the
need the
bench-
walkway, right? They're
Well,
two
no.
separate pieces. They're not hooked together.
well, if you, we don't have another picture, do we? No. If you take them down the walkway, what are you gonna have, wheelchair behind wheelchair behind wheelchair?
Well, it's not, the bench goes left to right. It's not like your wheelchair's sitting next to it.
My picture.
The bench goes from width to width.
Doesn't the bench look out?
It's right
it
here.
Towards
looks
your
out
water
onto the
beach.
water, it's
Yeah.
just
To your
up
water.
to the edge
It
of the
does.
thing.
Yep.
But, and you could put a wheelchair there and then someone sitting there, but it's not like you're gonna be sitting next to the bench.
No, that's correct.
Okay, well,
And there's two separate things, if you can tell, they're not even. which causes a problem as well. They're not
Well, they're not
flush.
even because
Yeah.
we don't have the sand properly
So
underneath
that's the
it.
deal. If we regrate, then we may have to figure out what we're doing with those two pieces.
How'd they look last year?
I have no idea what they look like, yes. Last year, I don't go down there,
Well,
so,
because every year we take them out and we re-put them back in, like I was
okay,
trying to explain.
yeah,
That you level them up on blocks, you put them in, then you grade the sand to it, so it's there.
yeah,
When everything washes out in the wintertime, they get a little, we haven't got there yet.
yeah,
We
okay,
just took like 6 loads of crap off that beach
yeah,
Friday afternoon, so the ramp is fine, we'll get to that. It just hasn't gotten there yet.
okay.
So we just need, I haven't been down there either. We need the sand because the beach is uneven? I don't.
No, it's
what
not,
is-
it's uneven, there's,
Okay, what is the?
there's ruts, there's
It
pits.
erodes and wa-
A
washes
major
out. I mean, not
washout
any-
happened over the
Right.
winter, like it's never happened before. I don't know why it washed under the sidewalk and
Okay.
came out, tipped over or compromised very large sections of the wall again.
Okay,
And it all washed out and is gone. Contacted Eagle, you can put a reasonable amount of sand on your beach above the water line to restore it to its normal condition.
okay.
So, reasonable amount, I said, I'm at 4 to 6 inches, he said that's reasonable,
Okay.
so.
Last month we talked about the thought of maybe Elmer's charging us after the budget year. Is that still?
That was unable to do that, you can't do that.
That's
Through
illegal,
government.
illegal to
That
do.
makes
So-
So can we decrease the amount of sand we're gonna get just to fill some of the ruts? Can we compromise and say, hey, well, maybe a fourth of what we need?
Sure, but,
It might
At
be
this
4
point-
inches in some places and.
yeah, at this point, though, going through the budget, we don't even have the money
The
to
only-
put anything down there.
Honestly, the only way we're gonna get this sand is somebody makes a motion that, Cooperation Park, the 10,200 and some dollars that remains is
we ask them to
allocated
switch
to switch it over to the,
The beach.
to the beach. That's the only way the sand's gonna get here.
Well,
Otherwise-
There's no money for sand.
except
Do we
for-
need to put it in our budget for the future? Absolutely, but right now, there's no money for sand. There's no money to hire anybody, there's no money to do, everything is, we
So
gotta
we're
do
just
it.
trying to move
But-
funds one place to another depending on what is priority, number one.
But can't we look into first what it would they would charge just to haul the sand and us try to.
I'm game with that, but we're still going to have to use the money from Cooperation Park.
And the
But
problem
not
is.
all of it, maybe.
No, but. the
Maybe
pro-
not all of it, but, Doug, can you give us a rough idea if they just moved it over there and we did the labor? Do you have any idea?
I don't really think, most of it's the trucking and the sand, I'm pretty
Sure.
sure. I wouldn't venture, to- I mean, if you wanted to, probably one guy's labor, machine, probably about 2,400 maybe.
Wouldn't
Would be
they
the
drop
price to spend.
spread the sand though when they brought it over to begin with?
No, they won't go out on that sand.
Okay,
They're gonna back up to the edge and dump it over onto
Okay.
the sand. They'd bury, there'd be no way to loop them around and you'd break up
Okay.
the concrete, oh, yeah.
So what are they gonna
Maybe
spread
s-
it with, skid steers?
Yeah, they just probably have a skiddy right there or a bulldozer, and when they're dumping it, they're gonna shove it. So there's just gonna be one guy's labor for the day, you know, it's not gonna take them much at all. You gotta be moving it faster and they can get it in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think it's advantageous to, like, we know, like, for them to do it all, it's like, what, 10 grand, is that their bid?
Yep.
9,800.
And if we didn't go with any other bids, and let's just say, hey, 10,000, this is what's gonna cost, I think it would still be advantageous to, hey, if they just did this, the community did this, just at least see what the cost analysis would be.
I think we're
Because
gonna.
I can go rent a skid steer for $250 for the day and spread the same. I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying just anyone can.
I think
There's
we're gonna
rental
find
places around here.
cleaning up the cemeteries is one thing. It's somebody with a chainsaw and a rake.
Yeah.
doing that is asking a lot more of the community. Not that somebody might not do it, but it's asking a lot.
The spreading of the sand isn't that much. It's
No,
getting the
It's the
sand
hauling.
moved over
It
there.
is, it's the hauling. It's you're
That's
paying for the use of their equipment.
Right,
And the
Not
other,
everyone has 10-yard dump trucks laying around.
Yeah.
cheap,
Right.
So
And-
that's where they're charging you.
well, the other problem we have is we're running up against Memorial Day weekend in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time to chit chat around about this. We have to get it done, or we're gonna be doing it during the summer, or we're just not
Or
gonna
it's
do
not gonna
it.
get done.
We're just gonna do it, yeah, when we have the money.
So,
I personally would kinda like to see what other bids come in at and what they would come in at just hauling the sand. Because like this gentleman said, if
We
you
could
can
rent.
rent a skid steer for $250 for the day. If it's not if it's not gonna take that long to spread it, what are we looking at? Could we save some money? And then would we possibly have the money to do it, depending on what they would charge?
Again, the only way we're gonna have money is if we take the
The youth
money
grant.
from the
until
youth
after
grant.
July.
Until after July. We have no extra money to do anything extra at this point.
Right, but if we can get something less
Another question.
expensive, we might not have to use all of that money.
That,
That's what
I'm
I'm getting
all
at.
for
That's
that.
what I
yeah,
mean.
oh,
And
absolutely.
I can't write the gentleman the letter if we're only gonna use 5,000, then we're gonna keep 5,000 at Cooperation Park. We're either going to, I need the
We need the, right,
bottom line figure, yes.
Before we send the note.
So, just quick question. So, number 13, the Parks Festival, is the intent there to raise funds for Parks and Rec?
Yes.
Where are those funds supposed to go towards?
We haven't got there.
So, we've got
I mean,
Memorial Weekend coming up. The beach is probably, I'm gonna, hopefully I don't hurt anyone's feelings if someone disagrees, but I think the beach is probably priority to take care of.
I guess, okay, number one, I think that's what we have to figure out. What is the priority that we want to take care of right now, today? Because,
If we have that $10,000 for youth,
Yes.
because that's what we need to
'Cause
use it
one
for
is-
at this point.
one, the youth book grant needs to be done and over with. We've had that on the books way too long, and they've been graciously enough to let us keep it on the books. But I'm sure they want to close their books out just as much as we want to close this story.
I would recommend moving that money towards the beach. If you don't spend it all, awesome, you can reallocate it.
And
back
maybe
to the
what we need to do
Cooperation
is
Park.
write that in our note. Right now, our priority, we have this huge need to have sand put at the beach. We're hoping that we won't have to use the entire amount for that, and whatever we have left, then we will put towards scoreboards for the
Well,
park,
and
and then do it that
It
way.
doesn't
or-
necessarily have to be scoreboard.
Well, or the
I mean,
park.
there's
Corporation
other
Park.
things in the world other than scoreboards that,
I know, understand that, but I'm saying we could still use the rest for the park.
well, I would like to make a motion that we reach out to Jeff Lawson. I'll rewrite the letter and ask him if we can get the sand with the intention that Doug talks to, Elmer's and the other two people. If they haul it, what would they charge us? If they do the whole thing, what would they charge us? And then we go from there. But as Gail said, we don't have time to sit on this. We don't have time to, dilly-dally. But that's my motion, is to reach out to Jeff Lawson and ask him if we can, what sand we need to purchase. And if we purchase the sand and we don't use all the money, can we allocate it back to Cooperation Park?
I
Anybody
Support that.
Anybody second it? All in favor? Aye.
Who made the motion, who seconded?
I made the motion.
I second it. Gail?
Well, we didn't really have discussion
Oh.
at a previous, but we
Okay.
did on the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
One of you mentioned that the beach was priority. I don't totally agree with that.
okay, what would you consider priority?
Where the youth grant was intended to go, Cooperation Park.
But the youth grant, and I understand, but the youth grant, the way the gentleman, when I spoke with him, he said as long as we are using it for the youth, he sees no problem in that.
Okay, then it should go down to the green docks.
What do you
For
want?
what?
That's where the youth, that's where the youth are.
They're not at the beach.
They're at the beach.
They're at the green
They're at
docks.
both, they're
The
at
teens
both.
may
I-
not
I-
be, but families are at the beach. And the families that are at the beach are the ones that don't own a boat, don't own a house on the lake.
No,
They're coming
they're
down
renting
there
our
because that's their families.
Airbnbs and, yeah, never mind, I'm not gonna get
But-
into that, I'm
I
sorry.
just think until you get a response from Jeff saying you can do it, it's all,
Well, he has suggested that he
until
he
you
is
have it
in
in
for that.
writing,
I have,
She's talked to him already,
I've
and he's
already-
it's
agreeable.
not in writing,
we have to write the letter.
yes.
Okay, I have the letter, here's the
I have no
letter.
problems you sending the letter, but I am
But I
opposed
can't
to-
send a letter without an amount. I don't wanna send an amount that we're gonna take $10,000 and then, oh, by the way, dumbass us, we're gonna give 4,000 of it back. We have to come up with figures.
Well, but what we can do is send him a note, say, right now, we're trying to get as low amounts as we can for the absolute, not the most that we need for that beach, but as much as we absolutely have to have for that beach.
To get by.
And then if that comes underneath that amount of money, can we continue to use that at the thing? And because we already voted on the scoreboards, we could just do the scoreboards after that. Because then we know that that's what it'll go for. He won't have a question. We'll spend it on the sand. If we have more money, it goes to the scoreboards. Done. Those are the two things that money's going for, regardless of how much it is, one way or another. That's my thing, but, I'm obviously,
Okay, so sorry, do I need to restate my motion? Or is my motion fine? Any other discussion?
I understand that it's hard, and I understand that we don't all love this, and we really want our cooperation park to be what we want it to be. But right now, with the money that's gone out with the ice storm that we have not thought that we would have to pay, with the things that we've never had to pay for sand, to put sand on the beach before. And this is an odd thing. This is something that hasn't happened in the past, so it's not budgeted. Unfortunately, these are decisions we have to make that aren't
We
pleasant.
still haven't determined that we need the sand, I'm sorry,
Well, then who's gonna determine that? That Doug feels like we need it. Isn't that what we have him as a supervisor for?
it's northern Michigan.
If it continues to erode though, that wall's coming over.
Never used to be a wall. Or all of
Now, I don't feel
Well,
like
but-
that wall is, there is part of it that's maybe coming a little bit, but there's, I went.
That wall was a problem before,
Yeah, well, I
high
went
school.
today, and I pushed on that wall all the way down the whole wall with my legs and my body. I pushed the whole thing. And there are 3 little sections that are loose, that if we pull them out, I feel like that wall's safe.
You'll
Until
deteriorate
we-
the integrity of the wall if you start to pull.
Well, they're already, like
Are
that
they
one
at the
part is
end?
already loose.
There
There's
is. Some
3
of the-
little
some
sections.
of the caps are loose. I
Yeah.
went and messed with that wall
And you
too.
could probably, there's 2 caps on the one side.
Yeah.
There's about 4 or 5, it's maybe a foot wide, that's basically detached from the rest of the wall already that you could pull out.
Yeah, I mean,
Otherwise, the
one-
wall is pretty
One
stable.
person messing with
Yeah.
it's different than 30 people sitting on it.
Oh, I agree with
Right.
that, but it's not falling apart, all of
But
it.
it's-
How about-
It's gonna continue to though.
Yeah, but there's
Well,
nothing we
that's
could
part
do
of our
about it
budget
now.
for next year is redo the whole damn DeVoe Beach.
Oh,
the
where are we gonna
wall-
get that money from?
A budget.
You think the township's got that money to
I
give
have-
us?
I have
Isn't
no
it for
idea.
budget?
We put it in the budget and see if it passes.
Well, that's another issue.
Well, I guess if Doug says the beach needs sand, it seems that you
It's,
can play baseball without the scoreboards there.
Yes,
the
you
schools
can.
have done it. The Little League has done it.
Years and
forever.
years.
And we can swim without sand.
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I guess
It's
Okay,
however
well
you
then we
want
don't
it.
have to do either. We'll just grate the beach and be done with it. I mean, let's decide, what do we do? But to go ahead and spend $10,000 on 2 scoreboards when we could be using it towards something for way more people, it seems like that would be a better idea.
I
But,
don't know about way more people, but.
oh, way more people. In my opinion.
I will never use the scoreboards.
I mean, I
mean,
would
and I
probably
played
agree
baseball all
that
my
the
life,
greater
and-
population uses that beach area than
Yeah.
baseball field. Not to say that's not important. You know, I played Little League too, and I've played on really nice fields that had nice digital
Oh, yeah.
scoreboards and ones where they were flashcards. And, you know, it's
I
it's a
played
better
and you yell,
experience,
what's the score?
You know, but
you
you're
know,
right,
so-
it's not necessary.
It's not a do or die.
But I also think that partnering with the right people, it's easier to raise money for a scoreboard than to raise money for sand for the beach.
Yeah.
And just in my opinion.
Well, I don't know, I just think we also have to consider, we've already voted to spend 7,000 of that on scoreboards.
7,000?
Yeah, $3,500 each for 2 scoreboards.
Yeah.
That left a remainder of 3. Before we can do anything with that money, you have to rescind that. vote.
Okay, I'd like to rescind that right
I
now.
would too, because
we
that's
fix-
ridiculous.
We voted on it. We all agreed to it.
Yes, but that was before we knew that we needed money for other things that we don't have, I think.
It can
And
be
that was
rescinded.
before we knew that they were willing to move that money. So, I don't know.
Okay, any other discussion? We can vote on it? So we can move on.
I don't get use out of the scoreboards. I really don't get use. I mean, we go to the beach sometimes. I just know when I was a kid going to DeVoe Beach, none of that stuff was there.
Exactly.
They didn't do any of it. They didn't have the wall. They didn't have benches. They didn't have,
Had guardrails.
and people seemed to take better care of it then. Things didn't get as trashed. Just saying. And I don't play baseball, so no. I can say that there have been a lot of people from out of town. My brother-in-law, when his kids were still playing ball, and they're from played for Petoskey. Said Cooperation Park, our fields were the best they have
Yes,
ever
I have heard that
played
over
on.
and over again.
Best. And you're talking Petoskey, who has a lot more money than we do, and they have played all over.
There are people that come play soccer there. There are
Yes.
people that come to our Corporation Park
Because
from all
our
over because
Cooperation
it's a
Park is
beautiful park.
Awesome.
So we do understand that we want to keep it that way, but
So we'll take a vote. Stacy?
What are we voting on now?
I
I'm confused where we're at now. Sorry.
The motion to use the money from Cooperation Park to get sand to make it up to what I'm gonna say code. Because that handicap thing, they're not gonna be able to use it. Or we can just, all in favor? Aye.
of,
Huh? All in favor of?
I'm confused.
I guess I don't know how to vote because I feel $10,000 is way too much to spend on that.
I agree.
Even if we can move that money over, I just feel that's huge. That's outrageous, personally.
Okay, all right.
So I don't
So the
know how to
motion's
vote.
going to be, this is the motion, that we allocate some of the money from Cooperation Park, if we can get it down, what price do you guys think would be good to get it down to? I mean, we can't, we just keep going round and round in circle and nothing ever gets done.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Maybe we're not gonna, well, the problem is, we gotta do something before Memorial Day weekend.
No, it's not gonna be done before Memorial.
Well,
Day
then
weekend.
someone needs to to grate that area that's got holes in it.
I mean, at this point, even if we agree to it, it won't be done before
No.
Memorial Day weekend,
No.
right?
No,
Yeah, didn't Elmer say they could get it done? They would get it done?
That was,
But I don't wanna pay $10,000 either. But that was, I'm sorry, I
that
interrupted
was
you.
in their schedule for,
They wanted to do it before they pulled out.
right, and now
Yeah.
they're about done, they're ready to go, so they'll move all their stuff,
Yeah, so,
so that'll change the bid. Sorry, it's not gonna happen. Just-
okay, so why don't we look at this? I'm just wondering if we just agree to, can we rent a grader or something like that and get that graded before Memorial Day weekend?
where are you gonna get the money from?
I'm asking if we can rent it. If it's $250 a day, that's no big deal. You know? I mean, that's a little bit better
It is a big, we don't have the money to do that.
I know, but there's liabilities on that beach right now that we
I
have to take
understand
care
that,
of.
but-
So we either have to take care of the holes that are there, and we either have to put in the handicap things or take them out. Or if we're not gonna regrate, then we need to take those handicap things out, and then that causes us a problem. I don't know. Doug, what do you think?
I'm gonna go down there and get the beach ready for the summer, whether I have sand or I don't have sand. The
So-
ramp will be put back the way it always is, safely. It may be shorter than it was before because of less sand, but
Yeah. If you grade
This-
it, can you redo it I mean, like if you kinda even that out, you can make it pretty
I'll
even,
shove
can't
some
you?
in there so it's not a big tripping hazard. It's
Yeah.
not gonna be a nice smooth rolling beach,
Yeah.
but there won't be anything that you're gonna trip in.
Okay.
We have to get the wall knocked down because regardless of, it is a hazard in the condition it is in because it is not complete. There's sections of it missing all over, pieces of the top are loose. As you remove more loosens up. It just needs to come down. So we will be getting to that soon,
So Doug, I have a question.
yes.
So it really wouldn't matter, because if Elmer's is almost done, before we can, so if we were gonna go with them, even if we could allocate that money from Co-op Park, it still has to go, the letter has to be written, it has to be sent, whoever, they have to approve it. They're probably gonna be done by the time that happens anyhow.
Right.
So this is
Correct.
basically a moot point, because we can't do it, that's not gonna be the bid anymore once they move their stuff out, it's probably gonna be higher.
Probably.
So this really isn't even, there's nothing, nothing can happen with it anyhow at this point.
No, that's why I went in and started cleaning it up and taking care of it yesterday.
Okay.
Because as part of that, they were gonna clean up all the debris on the beach, which we spent a day doing, so. Yeah, I'll get down there sometime between now and the holiday weekend, we'll get a couple more days in there and it'll
Do
be
you-
as nice as it can be.
Could we still work on getting other bids?
See
I
where
have
we're
them
at.
out there, we'll wait and see
No,
what
I
they
mean,
come in.
but see where we're at, and then
Yeah.
still possibly, because if, I know Memorial Weekend, but then you still have a few more weeks,
Yeah.
basically until 4th of July, before it's gonna be huge. If they do it during the week, we might still be able to do this, just not before Memorial Weekend, because it's not gonna happen before Memorial Weekend anyhow.
Right. And the other thing is even if we do get a bid and we have to wait until next year to do it, then at least we can build it into our budget. So,
Okay, so the vote is no, that you guys don't wanna use the money from Cooperation Park. We're gonna buy scoreboards.
Well, no, we don't have the time to do it right now. Because
that-
if it can't be done before,
The question is,
you still have to buy them so we can get the money off the books.
we
still
have to
it
do
one way or
something with
another.
that money. They're not gonna keep holding it year after year after year after year for us. The $10,268.20. They wanna get it off the books.
They'll reallocate it if we don't use it.
Okay, there's another question on the board with that though is, now, did someone, what is it, the tree service. They came and
Views.
cleaned, Views cleaned all that out. Are we gonna get a bill for that?
It went to FEMA, right?
Yeah, that was a nice bill.
Excuse me?
$13,500.
Okay, so maybe that then needs to go to that.
Maybe the 10,000, if
Goes
we
to
have to,
that.
because they're not gonna wait for FEMA, are they?
She sent it into it. I don't know how it was getting paid. Yeah, that was
Who sent
an
it into
outrageous
FEMA?
bill for what they
Yes,
did.
it was.
Outrageous.
So maybe the $10,000
How
will
much
have to
was
go.
$13,500.
Oh, I heard
I have,
2,000.
we have a bid from Dross to come in for, which be the same amount, roughly pretty close, same labor. 2 guys, a bucket truck for 2 days. I had them do 12-hour days, so 24 hours through Dross was 7,500. So less than
Yeah, they're-
half of what they
Trust-
charge
They're,
us.
they're not the cheapest, but they're fair. I mean, that's
So,
Yeah, that's
again,
good.
Well, when it's your home ballpark.
13.
Exactly,
think
yeah,
it
I
was that
would
fair.
think they would think about that.
But no, he tagged me for 800 for a tree with no cleanup last year too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And all he did was take the Widowmakers down and you guys cleaned it up, right?
Yep, he just dropped them onto the ground, we took care of all the stuff, and they didn't care about the cuts that they left either, the trees looked like they were butchered.
So if FEMA doesn't pay that, the township's on the hook.
Yep.
so how long does it usually take for FEMA to pay out? Do we
That-
Who would
know?
know, because we've never had
That
FEMA
could
in
take-
northern
What,
Michigan.
and,
I'm
and has
telling
it
you-
even been approved yet by FEMA?
No.
We're still in the air.
We
on that,
still
right?
don't even know if we've been
We don't
declared
even
the
know if
right type
FEMA's
of a
gonna-
disaster
Gonna,
area.
if we're
We
gonna
have-
qualify.
So we can't count on any of that money anyway.
Nope.
So then maybe we need that money to pay that bill. And we'll leave it in Corporation Park, that money goes towards that, because we had to clean it up so that we can let the kids play ball. At this point, I mean, it's, you're, you know, taking it from Peter to pay Paul. I mean, that's just what we're doing at this point. Unfortunately.
Okay, so we're at 8 now?
Sure.
Let's go.
So basically, we've gotten to the point where we're gonna leave the money where it's at.
We're not doing anything with Jeff Lawson, and we're gonna, I would like to just see, I know we don't have the money, but to see how much the thing for the Moran, to build that thing for the, bricks, for the veterans bricks, just so we can see how much it's gonna cost and maybe look into a grant to get that built. Does anybody, can I make a motion that I do that?
Yes. What do you need? What I said, do you need a second?
Stacy seconds,
Yes.
all in favor.
Aye.
Right.
Updates on division and responsibility between Parks and Township. I don't believe anything's been done on
No.
that. So that's a check off. Meeting with Lindsay. Pat was there. Alan with an E was there. I don't know, what was your guys' take on it?
Well, she was prepared to do a PowerPoint, but the TV was not set up, so she just talked. And it all boils down to, we don't have the money for the match on any of the grants that they make available. Therefore, it's moot as far as I'm
Well,
concerned.
now the way I
At this
understood it, it's not, we would go out and ask for donation. To me, it was more like a GoFundMe page.
It's a match. They would match what we raise.
It was more like, we would go out and ask businesses to support. But like we said, and Lindsay was supposed to meet with myself and Doug and Diane Rodriguez?
Rakowski.
Rakowski, sorry. And she didn't, something got crossed, so she didn't make it. So, I don't know where we're at with that. I mean, if, I'm not good about going asking businesses to donate money. That's not my cup of tea. If it's somebody else's and we wanna look more into it, I'm all for it. But, I don't know. Anybody else have any comments or
When
suggestions?
I watched, I just watched that was the person that was at the DDA meeting, right?
Yes, yes.
So when I watched it, it seemed to me that if you'd want to do something like that, if we decided to do something like that, you would do it in conjunction with the Parks Festival. Because then you would be able to put that up when you're along with anything telling everybody that you're going to do the Parks Festival and all that, and then you would have the fundraising to be, everybody there would know about it. You could almost do a big temperature gauge, and this is our goal, this is where we're going, so that more people would know about it, and that,
But we'd have to come up with
you
a
know, but it
project,
would have to be
a specific
something with
project.
that.
Yes, that was,
It-
she was very clear about that.
Yes, a specific project and focus on one thing. I think
Right.
our problem is we have too many things in our pots and we need to
Yeah.
get them out. Cause I don't think we resolve much of nothing. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think it's because we have lack of funds at this point. We can't finalize anything.
So, did anybody talk to that gentleman about the docks signs?
Wayne Hale.
No.
Who was supposed to do that?
I'd have to look in the minutes, I don't remember. I'm gonna have to start. Does
Where's he
anybody,
putting the signs? That's, I guess, the question.
I think at either end, where you cut off the post, although I don't think there's one by the ladder, but there's a post on the other end.
And they say swimmers ahead, or,
Oh, what they would.
Right,
swim
swim area, I
road
mean,
would risk, I don't know.
where does he wanna put these signs up and what is, I mean, because if you, they'd need to be approaching, if for, like, somebody coming down the river, to know that swimmers were ahead.
Oh, I thought it was
I mean,
more
it
for
could
the
be
You
swim.
caused
don't want it
area or
right
something like that.
there, because by the time they've read it.
they've
they're
already
in.
hit them.
Yeah, but you can't put it anywhere else, that's
Yeah, I know,
people's
that's,
property.
that was my question about
So-
the signs, is what are the signs and what is the goal for them to accomplish? Because if you want people to know they're swimming, by the time they can read the sign, they're
It's too
already
late.
in the swim area.
It's too late.
Update on the festival, I thought Vicky was coming tonight,
I did too.
okay, so. Anything on the sale of the truck or the trailer, Doug? Have we-
Just,
We jumped that update on the Park Festival, didn't
What's-
Vicky's not
Vicky's
here.
not here.
we? Okay,
So,
all I need is to have them posted that they're for sale for people to bid on.
So I have a question, when we're selling the truck and the trailer, or the truck or the trailer?
Truck
Both, there's a
and-
truck and a trailer.
and it should have
that we
been
wanna
and,
sell.
not or.
Okay, and then we're planning on leasing one,
No, that, we're just looking for information.
That has went nowhere.
That's gone nowhere. The, instead of buying another truck and having all the
Right.
maintenance,
right,
we're
so
gonna
I'm,
look into leasing, but we haven't done anything
Okay.
like that. I just keep it on the list, so we don't forget about it.
right.
Um,
Well, we should probably figure out how much it's gonna be to lease a truck before we sell the other one.
well, no, it's
It's
not,
not one of
It's
these
the
right
older-
now.
Oh, it's a
We
different
don't
one?
even
It's-
use it.
Okay.
yeah, it's
All
not,
right, got
not
it, I thought it was
usable.
the same thing.
Sitting out in the back 40.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
so,
we'll sell that sucker, alright.
so do we need that in the paper? Do we need it
So
on
who
the
posts it?
chambers?
Yeah, who
Not the
posts
chamber,
it?
well, yeah, we can put it on the,
the website.
the websites, is that how we're gonna try to sell it?
The township has to post it?
Yeah, it has to be posted through the township
So we
Okay.
for
just need,
people to bid on it.
so we just need somebody from the township
Close
to do
bids,
that.
and then they open the bids and they'll take,
All right,
Okay,
I
so
will,
it actually leaves our hands. The only question I have other than that is, where does the money end up?
I thought,
End up at parks?
It should go to parks.
I thought it's, all
Yeah.
right. I will,
I mean, the intent for the trailer is the police department is giving it to the parks department,
Well, then
so.
that money should
all
go to
right,
us.
so
The
I guess
truck
at
may
the
be
next,
in
at the
the-
board meeting, sorry Doug, I interrupted
Yeah.
you again, I apologize. Go ahead.
The, truck may very well be in the township's name,
Okay, so we need to find out
so where the money ends up,
name,
cause it would be nice if it ended up where we could move it into our,
truck,
Can we find out,
and,
I mean, it
Salaries
might be in
line.
the township's name, but who
Mm-hmm.
actually, what budget paid for it? Was it our money that paid for it?
who knows?
That's right,
when,
so-
Way back when, but,
Right?
no, my thought was if we could get the money and manage to put it back into
yes,
salaries,
yes.
would be awesome. It's not gonna be that much, but.
all right, I will look
couple
into
thousand in
this.
there, give me another couple weeks.
I will look into the, trailer and the truck, and I will bring it to their attention at their next meeting that we would like them to post it.
Yeah.
And if,
And we'd like to
somebody calling me?
No,
No, there's a kid.
Darn.
know- and we'd like to know for-
Anybody object to me doing that?
no,
Okay, no information on the leasing. I think we, number 16th, I think we have beated that to the, to the end of the earth, so we'll just keep moving on.
What was the final thing on the wall at the beach?
It's coming down.
It's coming down. I mean, should there be a motion for that?
No,
And who's taking it down, Doug?
I have
I-
my guys in there.
They
and so
taking
then
it,
we have to,
taking it down one brick at a time?
I'm gonna try and tip it into the bucket of the tractor or onto the forks of the tractor and get it as efficiently as I can thrown in there, and I'm gonna take it and dump it in a big pile.
The pile's gonna be where?
Well, I don't know yet.
The back
Why,
40,
do you want them?
the back 40.
No, think.
so, so this should just, it'd be a day?
No,
Day's
it's gonna-
work, or?
No, that's
It's
gonna,
gonna be.
Well, I'm
as
just
I get
asking because
time,
we need.
we're gonna
enough-
have to piecemeal it in there. I mean, I've got myself, Dennis, and Tom. We have
My point.
baseball fields that are growing like crazy. Grass in town is growing. Oak Hill Cemetery is pretty much untouched other than what volunteers piled up. I may have, and I'm jumping ahead of you here, but I may have by late next week, the, Cooperation Park will be finally clean. We're still picking up piles of sticks and stuff up there on a regular basis. So as I get time to bounce in and out, I will knock over sections of that wall and haul it away in the early morning hours before anybody gets there.
So my question is though, is shouldn't it all be done at once? If you're worried about part of it being open and then people are down there and you're
I'm
doing
gonna
it
take
one day.
down as much of a section that is still remaining, and I'll leave it, and then the next time I'll take down another section that's remaining.
so you're gonna take a whole section down at a time?
Pretty
You're not gonna
much,
do a
yeah.
half a section, one section, half of it, and then the next section, finish the half?
When I get done with it, it would be stable enough for me to leave until I can come back.
Okay.
But I cannot just go down there and do it all at once. I don't have the manpower for that.
And you feel like it has to come down this summer?
Yes.
I got a question. What's that gonna do to the grass?
But the grass is gonna, you go look any place there was an opening, the sand builds up through the grass. The grass will
So
grow,
we'll
keep
have more
growing.
beach.
It'll build up, the grass will thin out. It's not, the biggest thing that I see right now is
Oh, it really is
it's
against-
eroding underneath your sidewalk by not
It's-
having
all
that
that
sand in
sand's
front of it.
gonna- Yeah,
Yes.
That'll-
The sand
that'll
in
keep
front of it
eroding.
is saving your sidewalk.
yep, yep. That's
And-
right.
And that's just another factor of, but not going anywhere with saying the beach wall will come down in segments. Okay.
Okay. Any updates on the ice storm other than Ohiosville Cemetery has been cleaned and it's been reopened, correct?
Yep, and we cleaned up a big enough section to do an interment in Oak Hill this week.
Okay.
They were
Alright.
fortunate enough to be out in an open area, so.
You're in charge of the cemeteries?
Huh?
I thought we were parks. Why are you in charge of the cemetery?
We're not.
Oh,
Andrew took that and I
Oh,
just wanted to
okay,
verify that it has been opened.
okay, but it's not something that we're in charge of.
No, it's not something we have to
Okay.
take care of. All right, new business.
Well, yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Comes
sorry.
straight out of your budget.
It comes out of our
Cemeteries is
budget.
The cemetery does?
Oh,
Yeah.
everything I do at the cemetery comes out of your budget.
Yep.
Everything I do in this building
Well,
comes
I
out
know
of your
that, but
budget.
I know it comes out of our budget, but eventually you're going to start keeping track of where you're working and who you're working for, correct?
Yeah, that's the
The goal.
goal, but until we have that money allocated back to each one of those other departments,
So
we
the-
can't take it
Have the
from 'em.
cemeteries always been in parks?
No,
And when did that start?
about 3 years ago,
Yeah,
2.5, 3 years ago. You'd have to go
that
back
doesn't
to-
seem like that should fall under parks jurisdiction, just saying, but I'm surprised it is.
No, you'd be surprised
All
at a
right.
lot of things.
All right. That was the question I was
It's an
asking.
open space, you know, they probably didn't know where else to,
No, what they
It's
did was
township.
yeah.
they increased my budget by a sum, and then they depleted all of those other accounts by their sums, which weren't near the sum that we got increased by.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And
Someone had to own it then.
at this point, now that we've had a bad winter and a storm, my budget is crashed and there is no contingency money left in the township whatsoever.
Right.
That's,
Okay. Just asking.
Okay, we need to, believe it or not, we need to start working on our 25-26 budget.
mhm.
And when I say start, I got this printed today, so we started, so we're good.
You have a blank?
I have a blank sheet,
No money going out?
no money coming in.
Special meeting, I'm assuming, for that?
We're going to have to, because I do not want to do it like it was done last year with a treasurer sitting at the end of the table, putting in our numbers, because,
Yeah, that was a different
Yeah,
situation.
so I would
not gonna
like-
Get into all that.
Stacy, I'm gonna pass this to you. I don't think everybody needs one, but, like, some of it is just plopping the numbers back into, like, payroll and, you know, we need to.
I'm assuming we're not doing the garbage with zero-based budgeting. That was a joke.
No. We have to, do we wanna market's not the right word. Like, put everything up 3%, 3.4, 3.5,
for
yeah,
raise.
increase
We
everything.
can talk about that at a special meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
That's not a.
So
That would be
basically what
better,
you're-
a discussion.
This is the format you wanted in on a computer.
Yeah, we
Well,
can't
I-
do it
Sort of.
all at
I
once.
asked them to do it for me, cause they should already have it, so they
No,
did
there
it.
is
Okay.
a lot
So
of
we can just-
consideration.
we'll make-
Like a workshop type
Yeah,
Huh?
so
meeting to.
you look at what was spent this
Yeah.
year, and then you look at where you're
So
at.
do we wanna
and then
set a
you fill it
date
all in.
well, no, we really can't even start the budget. Who am I kidding?
When is it due? Can I ask that?
This budget runs from,
July.
July first
Through
Right,
June
right.
through
30th.
June 30th, but we have to wait for the, state and the township.
For what?
before we can do our budget, because they have to wait. I mean, we can start it and we can plop some figures in, but we may, they may be way off, but I've never done a budget, so,
I say we do it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go through, then we compromise and see
Right.
where we change it. But I
Right.
think we should have a pretty hard copy of it when they get,
And probably I
Because-
guess, the sooner, the better that we can start.
yeah, because you've really only got,
2 months.
yeah.
yeah, so,
When you say you're gonna put it off till next meeting is May,
June.
or June, and it's due by the 30th of June.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Approved
I,
by
Should
them, which is gonna
schedule
take a couple weeks,
workshop
so
type.
you need to,
all right, so let's schedule a workshop.
Do the end of the month, or do you wanna do?
Do we want to keep it on a Tuesday? Do we want a different date?
And are we gonna do it? We'll have to think, it's gonna take longer then. It's gonna take a little bit, isn't it?
Well, the day we do this is the only thing I want to do.
Right, no, I
don't
understand
want-
that, but how long does it take? About a couple hours?
I've never done a budget, I have no idea.
When we did the budget for Women's Club, it took us 2 hours, so, just saying. It may, I mean, we can do it in an evening, start at 6 o'clock again and do it that way, I guess.
That's why I was kinda hoping we can wait until, but I guess we can't, like June, when I'm out of school, then.
I don't know if we can, I think we need to get started.
The end of May, can we do the end? What's,
Well, if we do it in the
Well-
evening, you're okay, right?
What's that?
6 to 8 is,
6, are you okay with that?
we're here till 8 anyways.
It depends,
sometimes
well, it
later.
just depends on the date, I don't know, May is super busy between
you
graduations
can
and
form a subcommittee to present it to the,
all this
full
other
board.
stuff, so it just depends.
To this full board.
yes. If you
No,
wanna make a subgroup of yourselves to get a rough draft to
I don't-
come to the full board, that's acceptable. Or
Throw
we
some
just
dates
have
out there and
evening
I'll tell
meetings,
you.
it doesn't matter to me either way, but.
I'm good any Tuesday. I mean, I just as soon keep it on the Tuesday.
Tuesday's good for
May
me.
27th is,
Is that too late?
that's good for me.
What day
We
did
could
you
also
say?
do like May 13th,
May
but
27th,
I don't know.
Well, May 13th, no, I
Well, that's,
that's
May
a township
20th.
meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
the,
May 20th or the
20th.
27th?
May 20th will not work for Andrew and I, cause that's senior awards, so you will
no,
not, you guys
Andrew
can do it, but
doesn't
we will
need
not
no
be there.
rewards.
No rewards.
Hey, he's co-valedictorian, yes he
Yeah.
does.
All right, what
He's getting
about,
lots
what
of 'em.
about the 15th, the Thursday?
Nope, I can't. I'm sorry, I have
That's
to have a
alright.
procedure on Friday and I have
That's
to prepare
alright.
for this
I'm
on
just
that
asking.
Thursday, so I will not be here.
Well, why don't you,
How about,
Put out some
what day
dates.
can you do?
yeah. Give us a date.
Well, you said the 13th is too soon, let's see. You wanna do it on a Tuesday, you said,
Well,
right?
no,
Well,
it
we could
doesn't
do it
have to be a
whenever.
Tuesday.
What about May 19th?
I was just gonna say, I could do Monday, May 19th at this point, I could,
DDA.
okay.
Does that matter? Do we have to do, we can go in the library and do it. We don't need to be here.
Library's closed on Mondays.
Oh,
I can do Tuesday the 27th,
No, it's not. Not anymore.
but they can't, right?
can we sit at the table over here and do
They
it?
were last, week.
Pretty much, so let's,
The only
Okay,
day
whatever.
we're closed is Sunday, as far as I know.
Monday night.
Oh, no, he's talking Monday night.
Evenings.
Oh, evening, okay, yeah, yeah.
He's talking Monday night, so that won't work.
okay,
Yeah, you're right. I think they closed at 5 or something.
Yeah,
on
because
Mondays.
I've stood
Yeah.
outside waiting for
Okay, whatever.
DDA,
Yeah,
okay, so the
along with
13th
Doug a
is
few
the
times.
township board meeting, that's why
It was
they said
fun
no hours after
conversation, but
that's right. They're open, but not as late as they usually are.
You said the 14th you can't do, what about 14th, 15th, or 16th?
No, I said I can't do the 15th.
Okay, what about the 14th?
Oh, I can't do the 15th either.
See, it's not just my fault,
Nope,
yeah.
it's you two.
I got a pinched
We're
nerve.
talking at like 6, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
Still.
Do you have a golf? No, cause that's a Wednesday. Yeah, that would work, cause
the 14th,
I
May,
can do, which is next Wednesday,
ooh, that's next Wednesday.
a week from tomorrow.
Okay.
So I can do the 14th. we can't do Monday the 19th, you guys said. 22nd won't work, cause that's graduation. 20th won't work, cause that's senior awards.
22nd?
22nd is graduation.
Does the May 19th or May 14th work for you guys?
It's a Wednesday.
Fine with me.
Yes.
Sure.
It's next Wednesday,
far
week
as I
from
know.
tomorrow.
At 6 o'clock?
Got it. I'm gonna be
So
here at
that's May
6 for every
16th?
flipping meeting.
May
even if
14th.
It's at 7, so I
May
don't miss it.
14th.
Funny.
Sorry.
I deserve it.
Sorry, not sorry.
I deserve it.
Budget workshop.
Let's see. Library's not open late on Wednesdays, are they? Does anybody know?
No,
Yes,
but
they
we could
are.
do it in here, right?
I'm looking
Oh.
to see if we can do it here.
Oh.
Right now, the only thing that shows there is the, Alzheimer's group at 2 o'clock.
In here?
Yes,
So we can get this through.
yes.
Okay.
As far as I can see on the calendar, yes, we can. All right, so the 14th at 6 o'clock. Doug, are you good with
Have a
that?
winner.
Yup,
Or is Doug not coming? Is he resigning?
No, he can't. He's stuck.
All right, so that's done.
Now, does somebody from the township usually there for the budget meeting or not? No.
No, not,
No, not under the new,
Regime.
they don't need to be, they can be if they want to be, but. they
I
don't
mean,
need
if
to.
Because we're
Lori's,
presenting it to them anyway after the
yes,
fact.
we're going
Okay.
to submit it, but if Lori, I say we try to do it ourselves first.
That's fine, I just
And then
didn't
if
know
we
if we needed
can't,
it.
we'll bring it down. If Stacy can't come, I
Yeah,
apologize.
no, that's fine.
But we'll try to get the majority of it done on the 14th, and then
Yeah.
any questions, we'll take it to the township.
And then we still have the next meeting to kinda, yeah,
Yes.
I think that's a good idea, at least to start it, get it going. So we're not like all of a sudden saying we gotta do it in 2 days.
Now, does
And
that,
then
that doesn't
rush
have to be
through it,
yeah.
recorded, does it? Or does it?
Yes.
So then what do we need to bring to this meeting in order to do it? We need to make sure that all that's here, all the records from last year,
Last year's
budget.
budget.
all that stuff.
I have
and
last
everything
year's
else,
budget
yeah.
right here.
Okay.
And then any ideas of the things that we need to add that we didn't have this year that we may need next year? So
What
just a thought for everybody to
What
bring
I'd
it.
like everybody to do when we do this budget is, I only want 3 things that we really want to focus on for next year that we can accomplish. You know, whether it be sand, whether it be whatever. If everybody can come up with an idea, we got to start prioritizing our things. And I know we have, in this book, it has the 6-year plan. We need to take a look at that and see if there's anything on that that we're missing, and so forth and so on. So,
what comes under CIP,
What's CIP?
capital improvement
Capital.
projects?
I'm a nurse.
All
I
kinds
used
of
to be a
things,
nurse.
but,
So like basketball courts,
Could be.
yeah, and that's
yeah,
on,
yeah, they could be.
It's
The
on
one thing
here.
that was never established was the funding for CIPs.
and that's where
well,
the whole
yeah,
problem
obviously,
is.
because we had to buy the truck, but
Right, I mean, so we did all this work on CIPs in the last couple of years, and I've never been able to find out where the funds for the CIPs were. It was talked about,
I thought
It
they were
was-
supposed to come from
They went somewhere
over there.
else.
but they were, but there's nothing over there. I mean,
At this point, I know, I understand.
I don't know
that.
where it ever was where, but yes, you're right, a CIP would be like, if we wanna do basketball courts, we could put in for a CIP to do that. When we would like to purchase a new tractor, which we have to start looking at.
Yep.
We could use a CIP, but
Where's,
where is it? So, I mean,
so it'd be better off including it in our own budget.
try and target it in the budget. All of our rental fees and stuff are now going into
Yes,
a
finally.
fund strictly designated earmarked for improvements only. So,
So when
it's
you
gonna take a
say,
while to grow that, but
Oh, yeah.
when you say CIP, or a capital improvement project, what's the difference between that? Like, are you saying it's billed or paid for differently, like, because you're putting a heading on it? Does that heading mean it's different
The
than,
township board established a baseline, projects over a certain dollar amount would fall under CIP. I forget the exact amount they set it at.
okay,
I'm thinking anything over 25,000 could be listed on the CIP, but don't hold me to that, but that's how they determined what would be eligible for CIP.
and what does that mean?
That
When you say
means if-
eligible, you mean for the township to
Yeah,
work on,
well,
or
the
like, what's
township-
different than if we're doing the sand project,
The
you know?
township kicks it the money for it.
Some
Oh,
of the
okay.
money, right?
No, all the money usually.
So it would be something we're asking the township to pay for
Correct.
that we would
That-
not pay for in our
Out
budget.
of our budget.
Okay, that's all I want.
Right.
I knew there was a reason why you're calling it a CIP, but I didn't know.
Generally, it's larger scale.
Okay.
projects.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
and
It's
A
a,
one-time
basically, it's a
expense.
wish list.
Okay, just
Yeah,
wanted to,
one-time
Does it come
expense,
true?
Correct.
yeah. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Didn't know.
All right, the Eagle placement of sand, that can be scratched. Okay, Lori Smith and the QR code down for the boat launch. She is taking that over. We are no longer involved. She thought it was a great idea. She is going to, they're getting a new something system that, she's gonna hope the QR code, she hopes to have it done by Memorial Day, but she is asking if, on the bigger weekends, if maybe people could go down and kinda just watch and see how many people are actually paying, or just parking their boats and going. And I said I'd be willing to do a day, but, I don't wanna volunteer, because sometimes when you volunteer, you end up doing it every day, and I don't wanna do that. So if anybody's interested in helping her out with that,
So with the QR code, they'll scan it, they'll pay. Will then like a permit ticket thing print off for them to put on?
no.
No.
so how do you know if they're
So,
paying?
so you just have to sit there and watch and make sure.
Yeah,
Just- Well,
instead of
there,
going and
what,
checking.
you can check by, like, usually it'll
The
pop
license
up their-
plates
They have to
number.
put in their license plate
because I
numbers
just got a
usually.
ticket from
Yeah.
down at Myrtle Beach, because they said that
Right, but.
I didn't pay, but I did pay, but I put the wrong license number in. So,
Now, how to
You told me it was
access,
for disorderly conduct.
now
I'm
to
sure there is.
access that site is a
learn
whole different thing, and Lori's gonna have to
Where-
figure
That's
out
the
how
thing,
that
would-
site
Yeah,
is.
how would we do?
We have to be able to access that
So we're
site.
not doing
well,
that.
we would, I mean, this is, we don't even need to talk about it, because we're not doing it.
Lori's gonna do it.
Lori's gonna do it.
Township's
Well,
But
taking
if she
Everything
it.
wants
for a
people to
living.
go and volunteer
Well,
to check
what-
it out,
what-
how are we
Have a-
supposed to do that? That's my
Just
question.
being there to
understand
make
that.
sure that
But
If
people are
people
seeing
see
you.
you,
So
They're
just
gonna have to
basically
do it.
sitting
Just
there
like
all
it is
day
now,
and doing.
Yeah, or
watching.
say, hey, you know, we've got a new system here, you can come over and do that, or
There's
you can
only
pay,
two ways you
the
make that.
$9.
you know, something like
And
that.
Having someone to monitor people are.
Just
less
somebody
likely
there to make them
Less
accountable.
likely to cheat.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I mean,
But-
nobody's gonna have a fight if they don't wanna pay, we're not expecting you to have a fight with them.
No, you just
Whatever.
walk
But-
away.
Go
But
ahead and sign
what
it.
I'm hoping for, and I don't know if this is ever gonna happen,
Because
is
there's not
like,
an ordinance.
say at noon,
So
she
there
could
is no
run a
teeth to
print,
it.
and you can match the license plates
So
up.
just take what you
like
get,
that.
and that's what you get.
Because I'm sure that's what they, I mean, they took a picture of me,
Depending
my
on the
car
honest people.
leaving, which
Right.
we're not
I
that
mean, it's like when you
sophisticated
sell your
yet.
firewood by
Maybe
the side of the
someday.
road.
Right,
Don't
exactly.
hold your breath.
Anyway,
All right.
For the most part, you're
So
probably
we're
Step
done with
one.
making money on it.
I guess,
Somebody's
Huh?
gonna come along every
Step
once in a while,
one.
take your money and your wood.
just getting the code and getting the
You
sign
know
up
what
there
I
and see
mean.
what
Right.
goes
Yeah, I
on, I
understand.
guess.
I was just trying to figure out what was going to entail doing that, because I mean,
Yeah,
they have a ticket that they put on their
Human
car, yeah, I'll
nature,
go
you
down
gotta
and check it
decide
out,
what
yeah, no,
but
no.
What is
Yeah, I
for
don't know if
you
she's
to-
gonna have I don't know where she's at with that.
That would be a more sophisticated system.
Doug, I let you know that the sign is busted down at the,
Yes,
boat
for
launch?
the- Yep.
I don't know if we have a replacement or,
Oh, I don't know if there's any left. They drive right over top of them, the park.
oh, do they?
It's- Yeah.
Okay.
What sign is that?
Not
It
to
just
park on
says
their
do not
grass.
park on the grass.
Um,
They drove over the sign to park on the
To
grass.
park on the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps them get a little better traction when they get in there.
Getting out might be a problem though.
When starting a new project, I'm just requesting that we try to go out and get 3 bids and bring them
think there's
back
an
before we
amount.
start, what's
There's
it?
an amount.
$5,000,
Yes,
I can,
5,000, that's
Okay, I-
correct.
anything with $5,000.
Okay, $5,000 or more, that we just really, really try to go out and get the 3 bids before you bring it and say, here's 1 bid. If you haven't tried to get the 3, don't bring the 1. I want them all, I think we need them all together, if possible. So, that's, any public comment?
I had a question.
We
So-
probably don't have an answer, but go ahead.
Well, you might. Outside of, I know you're getting ready to do budgets, so like outside of a budget being set for Parks and Rec, like what, is there like fundraising events throughout the year?
We have never done a fundraiser.
Except
This,
for the fireworks. The
let's
township,
not start there.
the township did a fundraiser for the
So
fireworks.
it's
Not
minimal
for-
then, Dan?
But parks, we have not done it.
Okay.
Correct.
Correct.
And just like some food for thought, like I know larger cities that have bigger like sporting programs, they always sell concessions. And just hear me out before, because I'm not suggesting everyone starts volunteering for concessions. High schools, they sell concessions at all their sporting events. That money usually, sometimes
back to their sport.
sometimes it's the athletic department that manages it. It's usually volunteers, but the money always goes back into
Right.
athletics. I'm wondering if,
Or it'll go to band or
Um,
cheerleading, depending on.
since all summer long, there's a large population that visits the beach, I'm not suggesting that Parks and Rec does concessions down there, but has the township thought of, since food trucks are very big now, leasing space to 1 or 2 food trucks down at the beach,
And then getting a
um,
percentage off of that.
or monthly rent?
That's a
So,
great
for
idea.
example, Matt over at the brewery, he leases those spaces to
Yeah, but they
Rodrigo
also have
and
to
the
come
Dick.
to the township to get
Yes.
a
Permit.
permit.
Yeah.
$50.
So, what is it?
$50.
Oh,
Right, so,
Well,
but,
yeah.
I mean,
It's
people
an
that
idea.
own food trucks as a business, they're paying rent somewhere. Like,
Right.
if you see me, even if it's sitting on the side of the road in someone's parking lot, they're paying that business rent to be there monthly.
Right.
Just some food for thought, or maybe for a discussion, what if we allocated 2 spaces at the beach for food trucks for the summer season? I mean, that's some monthly income that could go back into Parks and
Yeah,
Rec.
that's a good idea.
At least, 5 months out of the year, 4 months out of the
I
year.
would like to say
2 food
yes,
trucks is half the parking lot.
Right.
but
It is a small parking lot.
we've already lost, as far as I'm concerned, 4 spots to the sewers.
Yeah. Yeah, their
And
parking is
I
precious.
don't know where we would put them. I mean, it's a great
It's a
idea.
good idea, yeah.
It
definitely.
It
is.
is.
If
Good.
we do, could we do something at Marina Park? Or
Yeah,
not?
but-
You're away from your draw then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're pretty close to the
So that's
brewery.
ideal, like
Yeah.
the beach is.
Yeah,
just
I
such a
I
small
don't know
spot.
where
And
we
if I
would,
was the right food truck,
Yeah.
I mean, there's ones that do like churros and ice cream and more dessert stuff.
Right.
I'd park at a beach all day long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or like
Oh,
shaved
yeah, with
ice,
an ice cream
stuff
truck,
like that.
you got her.
Yeah.
That's money.
Yeah.
The ones that are here in town, I know they're paying premium rent, cause I have an idea what they pay, but they make it, like
yeah,
there's a constant draw there, cause he has events and music, there's
Oh, yeah.
alcohol and.
Well, if they weren't making money, they wouldn't do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but there are a lot of trucks in the area looking for good, like prime space.
yeah.
Just food
It's
for
a good
thought.
idea, yeah.
Just throwing it out there. If we could figure out
Maybe at the ball fields.
figure out, well, and that too, so we don't have concessions over there during the sporting events.
Do we
Um,
not have any
They do.
concessions up there?
They
Oh,
do.
yeah, Little
They
League.
do.
Little League.
Who does?
Little League does, and
Yeah.
so does,
Right, and I assume they put that money back in to Little League.
that goes back into Little League.
Doesn't
But
come
they
in,
they-
also pay us.
Right, they
Yeah.
pay
Oh,
to.
okay, so that's, yeah, that's good.
That's true.
Right, so their concession is,
Because what you don't wanna do is commit to, hey, let's do our own concessions, cause then you're gonna spend all
No.
summer long trying to
Right.
do concessions.
wrangle people in.
Right.
Yeah,
and
but
then
I
it
like
usually
that
winds up
idea,
being the
'cause
same
it's
4 or
not-
5 people that get burned out and don't wanna do it.
Yeah,
Right.
oh, you'd end up having to pay people and then
Yeah.
you lose everything.
Right.
So then you break even,
Yeah.
it's a waste of time,
You
so.
lose money.
But the food trucks like kind of enhance the experience.
absolutely.
Like if I'm down at the beach, I don't have to run into town to get food, I'm like, I need you smelling food,
Yeah,
it's, if we could
One.
find space, or even try it with one for a
Yeah.
season and see how it works, and I would never do more than 2 because the space is so limited.
yeah, it is.
no,
And if you
we,
do too many, then it's the food trucks.
if we could do any, it's probably only gonna be one.
Yeah,
It could work, though.
I don't know, I mean, it'd have to be a pretty small truck, and
Ice
if,
cream truck, yep.
I mean, if we could put it, here's the parking lot, if we could put one down here
At the end,
at the end.
Far, yep.
yeah, it
And
could happen.
I don't know the guy, but I know of a guy that does like burgers and dogs, just smash burgers and hot dogs. He was set up in front of Home Depot during the ice storm, and I stopped in there and ate one day, and it's like, your food's really good. He's like, yeah, I just talked to him a little bit. I think he sets up shop in Gaylord, just because that's where there's a bigger population. But I know there's a handful of them out there that, like, if you advertised, hey, we're leasing a space,
Yeah,
you'd get somebody.
well, and then we also have the boats down there
Mhm.
on boat weekend.
I've seen, it's kind of a boat version of a food truck.
The
Where
one that's
they
out on the
collect it
water?
out, Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
got
and they do
those
really well, too.
on
Yeah.
Mullet Lake.
Yeah, there's one on Mullet. It'd be
Mhm.
nice to,
Sometime.
I think there's one usually that ends up by the
So why
campground.
couldn't we set one in the water?
Well, we
by
could
the
do,
beach?
You'd have to find someone that.
You
has-
can't-
has
That has it.
the
We
outfit.
used
you
to
can't
have
ask
one.
them for rent when they're in
We
the
used to
water.
have one,
They're in the water.
and the county health department
Yeah,
shut it
how would
down.
we
Oh,
get
it did.
anything out of it, yeah.
Yeah, you can't rent out the water.
You had a question for Bill?
No, that's true.
But it's a great idea. I think it's a good idea to think about.
We could
All
look.
right, well, we'll keep that in mind and
Yep,
try to
Just throwing it
figure,
out there.
yeah,
we need somehow, some way to make some money, that's for sure.
Well, even if that money just goes into a general fund, and then when you need it, you have it,
absolutely.
so.
Okay, good job.
There's a question for you, for the board to consider.
What?
We have millions of dollars of exposure in landscape, correct?
Meaning what?
Parks, cemeteries, trees, beaches, waterfronts. We don't have one stick of storm insurance.
No, that's true.
Yeah, that's kinda wild.
Wouldn't you think that if you had millions of dollars of exposure that you might cover them? It's never happened
Is that a
before.
usual thing for them to have insurance? I mean, does the township have insurance
you-
over the whole town?
I
I'm
would
just
think it
asking,
would
I
be
don't know.
worth looking into.
I mean, that would be
There's-
like a specific clause in the insurance policy.
But, I mean,
But that wouldn't be
say
some,
nobody showed up to help at Cooperation Park, say you didn't,
Yeah.
how many hundreds of thousands would that have taken
the three of you to do.
to clean that up? I mean, just a thought, I mean, there's gotta be some rider on there somehow that you can cover yourself for some type of these losses.
I'm sure it can be added. I know that was a question I had. I know personal insurance, homeowners is different, but that was a question I had. I'm like, I read through my policy, I'm like, gosh, do I have any coverage for all this cleanup? And unfortunately, I had almost nothing. But they did tell me like, hey, there is a clause that you can add to your policy that would cover it.
Right.
So I'm sure, I mean, it's probably worth, are we gonna have another ice storm like that ever
Right.
again? Probably not, but it could be.
A wind
Winds,
shear comes through
tornado,
the park
like
and take all those trees down.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, what? Worth looking at, I mean, when you've got that much,
When you say
out there.
looking at it, you want parks to get their own? Or would that be
That would be
That
township.
would be a
township, right? That
Not
wouldn't
us.
be.
You don't wanna own that payment. The township should
That's
cover
town,
that.
that's gotta be township. I can't imagine that.
I mean, I don't know how we would get our own clause.
I would think that you would
Unless-
work with the township board toward that end. But you look, I mean, they're gonna have to get it on theirs, but
Someone's
you
gonna have to
could,
present it.
you could look into it and say, this is what we found for an insurance policy that would help cover our exposure in the parks, and they can do with it what they choose.
Yeah.
But you've given them an option to look at.
And we can even start with whoever we get our insurance through as the township.
Right.
Calling them and saying, hey, what would it cost to add this coverage to the
Right.
policy? I mean, that's a start.
It's a call
Sounds
we
like a
could
clerk
make
issue.
that Trudy wouldn't have to make
Sounds like something we should
necessarily
send to the
until it
clerk.
was time to make that call. Just trying to figure ways that we can be proactive for ourselves, plus take a little bit off of her plate. So that maybe we
I'm
can
glad
get,
you mentioned that, because, I was gonna suggest you bring it up with her.
I will, but I mean,
I was thinking you could,
No.
it's,
over dinner.
but
Over cocktails.
Trudy has plenty of things that she's doing. If somebody looked into this, even got it off the start line, that's 2 phone calls she didn't have to make.
Well, first and foremost, we'd have to know who the insurance company is.
Isn't that more, I'm just
Joe
saying, isn't that
Marie.
more, our clerk needs to probably look into those things? Who's the one that takes care of the insurance? Who's the one that knows where the insurance is? I mean, they all know that.
That's all.
We don't
good
know any of that,
question,
and we're gonna have to go ask them anyway. It's almost like doubling over.
But the problem.
So the ball's gotta start rolling someplace.
I
That's all I'm
understand.
trying to do.
We can
Yeah,
bring
I
it
would
up
like to
at the
bring that up at
board
the-
meeting
We
if
can
you
bring
want.
it up at a
It
board
just-
meeting and
yeah.
say, hey,
Yeah.
what's the chances of, and,
Yeah,
you know, I don't mind
I don't
looking
think it's a
stuff
bad
up, I don't
idea.
mind doing it, but, you know, I don't know. At some point,
we can bring it up.
Should I read this letter?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Public comments.
Okay, any other public comment? Doug, you good?
I'm good.
You good? Okay, board comment,
I've got a couple.
okay.
Looking ahead, with the in-between, they are now renting pontoons, which they did last year. They are also adding jet ski rentals. And they're going to have their condos open, and they're all going to be short-time rentals. That dock space down there for the in-between is gonna be tied up with all of their boats. Our little public dock down there is gonna get swamped with the short-term rentals and stuff. I think we need to consider a 2-hour limit on tying up, or some time limit, so people don't come in and spend the week there with their boat tied up most of the time.
I
That's-
agree with you on that, but do we have, that's in the water?
We,
But
yeah,
don't we
but the
maintain it?
dock isn't. The dock's on the water, not in the water.
Is that the, is it TNR?
Do we
It is our
Or the
maintain it?
sheriff.
property,
Yeah,
it's
if
our
they're tying off to the
jurisdiction.
township's dock, this is the township property.
Yeah,
They're
Okay.
attaching the boat to the dock.
If we're responsible for the dock, then it's ours.
Okay,
You have to
can
write an ordinance.
say-
I was gonna say,
I
then we
was
have to
gonna
get an
say
ordinance.
ordinance.
You have
Has
to
to
write
be
an
an
ordinance.
We
so we'd
know
have to write an
changes it.
ordinance for that.
the township would, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to wait and see what happens this year.
I think it's pretty obvious what's gonna happen this
I
year.
would preempt it because you're right.
It's gonna happen.
People are just gonna tie off there
And-
and come into town or just tie it off for the weekend and use it
Yeah,
as their own dock space.
because you're gonna have 2-3 families
Yep.
in those condos. They're all gonna have their boat and stuff.
Yeah,
And
that's
there's
true.
just no place to tie up around here. So, the other thing I'd like to discuss, and it goes to this not having any money in our budget. I know last year, we budgeted for the parks, for Doug to be able to hire seasonal workers. But just as an example, on March 3rd of 2023, I know that's 3 years ago, almost 2 years, we had $16,000 in the Veteran Pure account. We had over $100,000 in the boat launch account. Plus, at that time, the Park Commission still had $170,000 in their operating fund for the remaining 3 months. Right now, today, all of that money's gone, and no one knows where it went. It went because the previous board would just go into the parks and take the money for their own little projects. Until the parks get some control over their budget, it's almost a waste of time doing a budget.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
agree.
agree with you
It
100%.
turned into a slush fund then.
It did. I
It
mean,
did. It's, I mean, we're talking a lot of money that just went into the vapor, and we have no paper trail on where any of it is, except we do know that the Park Commission did not approve any of the expenditures for that money.
Correct, but, and I wish there was something we could do about it.
We need to look forward.
All we can do is go forward now.
Correct,
And
correct.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. Did the Parks previous board pay attention to their money? Because when I first started here, I looked at this thing.
Beth,
And I was
that
like,
is why I
foreign.
was removed from
I
the
know,
Parks
I know,
Commission
I know.
before, because I called Bob Kramer out on it
I
at a
know.
meeting, and less than a week later, I was removed from the Parks Commission illegally,
I
in
know,
my opinion.
okay, but and
So yes, the parks did look at it. We
They
had the
just-
treasurer from the Parks Commission writing a letter to the township about the problem. So yes, the parks, we had 2 of the parks commissioners resign because of the way the previous board
No,
was
I
taking the money. So
I
yes, they
understand
were
all that.
aware of it. They
And I'm
tried to
not-
do
I'm-
something.
okay, I'm not
and-
talking that board, okay? I'm
We
talking
can't
about the
talk
board
ab-
after,
I mean,
but we can't change any of that. Yes, I can feel your frustration.
You can try to prevent it from happening again.
Yes.
Exactly,
That's all I'm
100%,
saying.
and
yes.
that's all we
It's-
can do.
It's a good awareness, cause I would have never known that unless that was just brought up. That's
Yeah,
not-
we,
that's nuts to me.
I mean, if we had that money,
We wouldn't be sitting here wondering where we
correct,
can
where
get
do we get
sand.
money for sand? Where do
Sand,
we
where
get-
can we, yeah, that $179,000 that we paid for the truck that the whole township uses was not right, but unfortunately, that's in the past, and
I agree, it's in the past. I'm
And
just
we-
saying, we need to be aware that it happened and
Yes.
take steps so it does not happen again.
I agree with you
Exactly.
100%.
But that's why we're here. No, I'm serious. I mean,
I mean,
that's
we're
what we're,
trying.
we're here to try and make sure that we're being transparent. We're here to try and make sure that we're being frugal with the money that our taxpayers, give us.
Yeah, it's not our money to
And,
spend.
yeah, and I think that everybody here is gonna try to do that. We just have to kind of figure out, hopefully that next year we can,
I think we need
Part of
to,
that goes back to that division of
Right.
responsibility
Yes.
between
Yes, it
the
does.
parks and the township.
I
Yes, it
agree with you
does.
100%. I think that we need to sit down with Trudy. I think we need to sit down with
their board.
their board and
And
our
our board.
board and go through,
There needs to be
okay,
a special meeting on that, and it needs
are
to
we
happen
doing,
very
we're
soon.
doing parks, we're doing, cemetery, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing that. We're
We're
no longer
doing-
doing boats. We're
we're doing
done. I'm
everything.
done. I told them today. Boats can go back to them. Because we cannot
dock.
link the dock. We cannot go in to their accounts and set up a QR code. We can't do it.
Correct,
We don't need everybody involved in this.
correct.
So you guys can set up the QR code, do it.
Yeah.
But
For-
anyhow,
But yeah, there are things that need to go back that we don't need to be doing.
yeah, but I would love to see if we could sit down with that whole group and
I think it's a good idea.
to, go line by line items.
I think you almost have to.
and see what you expect of us and what we expect of them, because I don't think it's cut and dry.
There is no division of departments, there never has been.
Well, it's hard because
There is a division of money.
they're not gonna get their own equipment to take care of.
Right.
Or their own
I don't think you have
supervisor,
to
or
look at it
their
as a
own.
division of departments, but if you look at it as like project ownership,
Yeah,
because there's
Do
gonna
we
be a
own the
lot of
green
gray
dots?
areas that
Do
everyone
we-
operates in.
yeah.
But different people can own pieces of it.
Ownership or
And,
manufacturing.
and through that, you're
Yeah.
gonna see better fiscal responsibility. And Beth, I think you, as an observer, I think you said something really important earlier, prioritizing, I
Yeah.
think would be really important.
I think that's our first
Yeah.
thing at the budget meeting is, what do we want to accomplish next year?
Yeah.
Even if it's just one thing.
I think having money left at the end of the fiscal year is the one thing to because the ice storm killed us, really
Oh,
killed
yeah,
us.
it truly
But
did.
you've got to have a little cushion to fall on.
Yes, you
And
need a slush fund, or emergency
Some
fund.
emergency funds, you do, yeah. Some
Yeah.
reserve.
I agree. But that all depends on what we get.
Any other board comments?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's have a nice uplifting one to end the
Well, I
meeting.
have a couple,
Okay,
sorry.
go ahead.
Put the uplifting one.
Well, this
Oh,
is two.
okay.
I want to thank Andrew and Beth, and I'm sure Doug was involved in it too, and getting the, cemeteries, help with getting them cleaned up. I think, Beth, did you head up the first one?
No, I didn't do that. I
Oh.
only did an Ohio one.
I know Andrew headed up the Ohioville one, so thank you to everyone who helped with that. And we received a letter, the Tuscarora Township Parks Commission. Dear Parks Commission members, the Easter egg hunt volunteer committee would like to thank you for trying to get Cooperation Park cleaned up and ready for the egg hunt. Even though we had to relocate the event, we know you worked hard to get the job done. We just want to thank you for your efforts. This year's egg hunt was another great success. We received many donations of time, talent, and funds from local businesses and civic groups. We provided over 3,000 candy-filled plastic eggs and grand prizes like BMX bikes, a hoverboard, stuffed animals, kites, games, books, and handmade chocolates for all age groups. Because the egg hunt is free, donations are key to making this a special day for kids and families. As always, the kids loved, all in capitals, the fire truck and the police car. Thank you for your never-ending support. Sincerely, Easter Egg Hunt Volunteer Committee.
That was nice.
Very good.
So,
I have one thing, and sorry, you're gonna do it on a high note, but
Well, I have something too now that I thought about it. Go ahead.
do you
Um,
guys are?
Doug, do you have a date that you want to set up for another cleanup out at, Oak Hill Cemetery? No?
No, not yet.
Okay, when you get a date, will you let myself or Andrew, would you be willing to try to get up another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I get one, I'm probably only gonna need like 4 people with dump trailers.
Oh, okay.
Cause
Okay.
it'll be loading and hauling. What we're trying to do now, we've been back in there, as we're doing a section, we are completely blowing it,
Okay,
cleaning it, move to the next one.
okay,
We're trying just to work our way through there. If I can ever get it lined up where we can haul really quick, and we'd have to go back in and vacuum out it. It just, I don't have enough bodies to be enough places
Right.
right now, so it's hard to make a schedule to bring people in when,
okay.
That's where I come in. I have a question. Honor Society at the school. Do they have, you have Honor Society. You need so many hours of community work and all that, correct?
Yeah.
How big is your Honor Society over there?
Not big.
Okay,
Probably about 10, 15 people.
okay. I was just wondering, you know, it's not easy to get, it's a lot of hours each semester. It's a lot of hours. I don't know if they can do it during the summer or not. I know my daughter had a lot of work trying to get these in. But maybe we could do something like that, where maybe they could come and help parks do some things, whether it's the beach, whether it's whatever, and then we could sign off on their hours that they have going on. Just a thought, it
They
could be
did-
worth
And
if
at
they
those
did.
cemeteries, we have had NHS.
Yeah, and
members
I
that
had
help
somebody in
it.
the volunteer shelter.
Yeah,
that
so
was in
anyway,
the
it's a
other
good
side.
way to give the kids that opportunity.
Okay.
So anyway, it's a thought, it's,
Okay, anybody else?
Again, I'm just gonna thank Doug for all he does.
Yes.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, part of
Absolutely.
the job.
All right, motion to
I'll
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn. Stacy made a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Stacy made
Well,
it.
sounds
Woo-hoo.
That Kendall
All in
doesn't always
favor?
know
I
if
know,
it's
he
me
doesn't
or
know who
Gail.
it is, so we always say
So
our
we say our
name.
name.
It's easier.
All right, meeting's over.